Well, a lot had been going on over the years. Obviously, been in business now over 20 years. So I think just in general, we were getting to the place where the business was growing, particularly the Black Women's Expo was growing, moving from one market to three. Not only were we moving into multiple markets, but some of the larger national brands were looking at the Black Women's Expo and looking at MGPG Events, which is the parent company. And I knew that I needed to find the right personnel, the right staff to work with me on those new shows, as well as to work on, just keeping the business going. And finding difficulty over the years, always finding difficulty, finding the right staff to work with, the right consultants. Hating interviewing myself. I mean, it's not something that I like to do. I didn't feel like that we were doing the right things to find the right staff. And then after they got here, is how to manage them, how to direct them, and how to keep them. Well, you were working with us already in terms of trying to manage this whole expo and get everything out of my head over the years that I know how to produce the show. And thank God there were a couple people that were around me for a length of time that also knew what to do, but never having all of that on paper, never having all of that out of my head. And the time I reached out to you desperately on that Friday was because I was having a bad situation with my top staff person who had been with me at that time almost 5 years. I was concerned that maybe, it might be a situation where I might have to let her go. She was disrespectful in her conversation, in her language, and it was happening, repeatedly and a lot. And I just think that she had, learned a lot over these 5 years, had gotten a big head about it, and was looking down at me because I was much older, and thought that she could, run this whole production. But more than anything, she was being very disrespectful and in front of other staff, and it was something that I could no longer, take. Well, I didn't even know at the time that I reached out to Dr. Clark that I was asking for a session. I was just ready to pull my hair out, and I said, I need your help, and I need it now. So thank God she was able to find some time in the next day to sit with me, and it was a session. But what I think mainly happened is that she listened to what was going on. And, and sometimes that's the hardest thing, is to get someone to listen to the whole situation, the whole problem. This is somebody that worked with me for years, so listen to the whole situation. And then she, assured me that, this can work out, that we can find a means that I don't have to lose this employee. And it started with, how do I talk to her the next time I see her, which was the situation for me. It had to happen the next time, which would have been that Monday. But how to have that meeting, know what to say and know what to listen for. Those things were very helpful. And then when I left the session, then I received, even in my email from Dr. Clark, articles and other information and documents that would help me, that I needed to read over the weekend, that would assist me in getting the situation right. Number one was patience. I think patience was number one, is to, it was a stressful time anyway. We were working closely upon one of our big shows. So patience, probably for me too, listening to that employee to, a little bit better to see what those real issues were. And I think for the most part, that was, what I walked away with. And obviously the tools to go into the meeting with which I didn't have. Mm-hmm. I was ready to just, blow my stack as she was doing, and it probably would have, erupted into something that we couldn't change. I would certainly recommend Dr. Clark for a coaching session, and, for all of the things that I've said earlier, but one being, being there, when you need her, having the knowledge that I don't have, and I think some of my colleagues and friends that are in business don't have, because we all have the same issue when it comes to employees. We all seem to run into those same issues. But her background and her knowledge, I think, is certainly what I would use to recommend her to anyone. Yes, Dr. Clark is easy going for the most part. I know she's probably laughing now because I don't think she believes that, but she is easy to talk to. And her style was something that I think anyone would be able to handle, as opposed to, it's very hard when folks are telling you something you don't know, you know, but I think she gives it to you in a way that you can accept it. So one of the other things after that coaching session, and, you know, I was able to talk to my employee and work that out. I think what was the important part that happened after that is that I had a follow-up from Dr. Clark. I mean, she did call and wanted to find out, you know, how did it go? What was said? You know, what were the decisions that were made afterwards? So, you know, sometimes I don't think, you know, you always get that follow-up.
Right.